Hey there friendos, what's up? Welcome back to the channel, it's your boy Matt and we are back with some more Marvel Future Fight. I just want to say big thanks to everyone for all the love on the recent videos. The amount of subscribers I've been getting has been really cool, as well as the amount of views, so really appreciate that. So just wanted to say thank you, and if you guys could continue to hit those like and subscribe buttons, then hopefully soon we can get to that magic 100 number and I can get my custom URL for the channel. Anyway, on to today's video, and as you can see we are back with the free-to-play account here today, and I want to talk about why I think this latest update has been really good for free-to-play and newer players and free-to-play players, and why it's not the doom and gloom that a lot of comments seem to be suggesting that I've seen. So as you can see, we've got the latest Iron Man uniform. We are working through building him up. We haven't got very far at the moment. You can see we've only got to gear 21. We've done his skills. We haven't done very far with his ISO set. We've just got a normal ranking on his uniform at the moment. We do have a CCP of energy flow from the Thor Ragnarok legendary battle, so we put that on him. And a lot of people are saying, oh, it's not fair that we have tier 4s in game. And whilst I can understand that, if you look at the tier 3, it's really difficult to get tier 3s in game. You look at the amount of stuff in terms of materials you have to sacrifice just to get a 2-star sentry, let alone the amount of stuff I'm going to have to put into him to getting him all the way as a native tier 3 to tier 4. They could have introduced native tier 4s, or they could have said native tier 3s are the only ones who'll get tier 4, and we would have been screwed really badly. You can see the content for a tier 4 null. That's not, let alone Mephisto or Infinity Ultron, but just to get to null, in order to get his bios to unlock him, we have to do a crazy amount of stuff, beating Apocalypse Ultimate, Cable Ultimate, Scarlet Witch Ultimate, and all of those subsequent quests, as we will see here, involve having characters built up. So you have to have Quicksilver built up, you have to have Cable built up in order to unlock other quests. So unless you're paying a lot of crystals, which means you're not going to be a free-to-play player anyway, it's all stuff to build towards. They're medium and long-term goals. They're things that you can work towards and you can see tangible progress. Like here, Scarlet Witch, okay, she's a while off before we can have her unlocked, but we're building towards her. We've unlocked quite a few of her missions, and we're even closer with Cable. We've got most of his missions done. The only ones we have to do really that's going to be difficult is building up Quicksilver to 5 stars, and that's about it. The others are very manageable and stuff that you unlock just playing the game normally. You can see here, just with my daily stuff for today, like we're working on Supergiant because we can't re-roll our boss of the day with a free-to-play account, but that's fine. We just go with what we get every day. And if we go into timeline battle, the other area that people were complaining about, saying that it's going to be very difficult to get anywhere when there are tier 4 Iron Mans, it's going to really affect the game. I see a lot of content creators talking about this from the point of view of themselves as either whales or as content creators who've got stacked rosters. Let me tell you, when you're free to play, you haven't got a chance in timeline anyway. You look at the team that we've got here. Now, I got Loki through the tier 3 selector. Spider-Man I chose through the guided tier 3 quest to get to tier 3. So the game does give you some help there. You could choose Iron Man now though, which would probably be a good idea. But let's just refresh through and have a look at some of the teams we're fighting. Look at this. Tier 3 Icarus, Sharon Rogers, Tier 3 Sentry, maxed out. Then here we have, okay, Tier 2, but he's level 70, Doctor Strange, Tier 3 Ghost Rider, Tier 3 Spidey. This team, possibly a team we could beat, but the points aren't worth it, let's face it. Well, if you want to do well in timeline, you want to keep refreshing until it's this, 68 points for a win, and the minimal amount of points lost if you do is 5. And look at this, Tier 3 Thanos, Tier 3 Hela, Colossus. Ain't no chance of getting through that team. This team, even more toxic. Molecule Man at tier 3, Sentry fully maxed out at tier 3, and Thanos at tier 3. You can't get through that. That's really, really difficult, and that person has probably been playing a long time and has at least either spent money or spent the crystals to get Molecule Man as well. So saying tier 4 Iron Man is going to break Timeline Battle is broken to begin with. And look at this. This team's even worse. Emma Frost and Adam Warlock, Crystal Wall characters with like big crystal costs. Yeah, sorry, but that excuse doesn't wash. So let's talk about the resources then that you need to get tier 4. You need to be able to play Dormammu. Now Dormammu is one of those ones that, yeah, even though he's unlocked, you need to have a plethora of tier 3 or awakened characters to be able to go into the content. It's much like story mode ultimate. If we go into story mode ultimate, you can see here Colossus is marked out, Electro is marked out, because you can only use awakened or tier 3 characters. So I'd have to run something like well, both Cersei and Loki are awakened, but I'd have to run with either Spider-Man or Human Torch. They're the only characters I have. So I can do this for story mode ultimate, but I have to get through with just those 4 characters until I have more maxed out. And the same goes for Giant Boss Raid Dormammu. You can only use tier 3 characters, you can only use, look, see here? So there's only the 4 characters I can choose from. So I really don't have the characters available to actually run through that, but again, it's something to work towards. And as you get more tier 3 awakened characters, you can take them in. I've taken them in, and I didn't last like very long at all. Even though I was being carried the entire time and doing no damage, I still didn't last. So I don't think it's fair for me to go in with the roster and the cards I have at the moment, because I won't be helping anyone. So I can keep going with my epic quests and slowly work up towards getting characters built up. I can see at the moment I'm working on just running my dailies to get Icarus, and we're working on the Kingo quest. Sentry is, honestly, it's taken so long just to get him to 2 stars, and there's not much you can do with him at 2 stars, so I really don't see the point of pushing for Sentry tier 3. I think it makes more sense to work on Iron Man, and the fact that you're getting a character who you get at tier 2 anyway, just from starting the game, playing through the story mode once, which you have to do to unlock any of the other content. So it gives him to you at tier 2. The uniform is a cheap uniform, you know, and it's a normal uniform, so we're just going to try upgrading his gears and see if getting him to this level can get us through the next area of dispatch, because he is useful. I know a lot of people have been saying he's really useful for dispatch, so I'm going to see how far. Probably still going to need to take him further, probably going to need to get him higher to tier 3 before I can get through. But look at Sentry, he can do nothing at this stage, and the cost is really prohibitive. But for them to say, no, we're going to go with a very free-to-play friendly approach, and we're going to have in-game progression that makes sense. You know, they could have gone the loot box route, they could have been greedy, and they could have said, oh no, we'll keep him paywall hidden as a tier 4, but they haven't. They've said, if you want the uniform, yeah, the uniform makes him better, and it's normal crystal cost, same as always. And if you want to break him to tier 4, you have to get him to tier 3. It's not that there are other special provisos in there. It's just a normal standard tier 3, and then you carry on getting him to tier 4. You unlock his potential. Okay, it's going to be harder to get the materials, but on the plus side, it's something to work towards. And I think having medium-term and long-term goals is something that this game needs in order for it to keep growing and for people to stay invested in playing the game. If it was just something that was strictly money, a lot of people would probably just stop playing the game, or they would just ignore it and go about their other things, and interest would fall off. The fact that they've done it in a very achievable way makes a lot of sense, in my opinion. The fact that you can say, okay, I've got tier 3 Iron Man, or I've got tier 2 Iron Man, I can work towards getting him to tier 3, and with his new uniform he can do a lot of damage, and then I can slowly start towards just whilst playing through the game normally, unlocking content as I should be doing, unlocking characters, etc., I can finally get to a point where I can unlock World Boss Legend. And as soon as I do, not only do I get the added bonus of being able to get tier 3 characters like Null and Mephisto and playing that content, but then I can also start getting materials to build up Tony towards tier 4. You know, not all content in-game should be for brand new players, but by the same token, this doesn't break the game in any way. PvE content is not going to be broken for anyone because it's a character that you have. It's not a character that the computer has that it's using against you, it's for you. And like I said, PvP is so completely broken anyway that even if tier 4 Tony, I mean, it's going to be still about a few days before we start seeing the first people who will have 10 books of Ashanti and then start upgrading characters to tier 4. Even when that happens, I don't think we're going to see this huge dynamic change to timeline battle where people who weren't very good before are suddenly going to be taking over. It's still going to be the same people, it's still going to be the same broken system, it's just one new character. And that's if he is massively meta for PvP. We're yet to see that yet. I think a lot of people are just assuming because of the fact that it's a shield that gives him 75% HP regeneration, recovery, that he's going to be massively OP. So when I see people complaining in, you know, Alex's comments, in Beast Mode's comments, in forums, on Reddit, in, you know, the in-game comments, it really baffles me how people think that this game is suddenly going to shift to be screen lock there, sorry, unlock that, because I'm not doing anything, just letting it autoplay. Yeah, I don't see why people think that suddenly this is going to make a massive difference. It's really not. It's really not going to make a difference. The character is not suddenly busted beyond belief, and even if he was, it's not going to skew the meta so massively. You can see here he's still at the moment just with the normal uniform and with the cards that I have, he's not quite good enough. Even though the rest of the team is good, but the team isn't good enough to get through this stage of dispatch. But I think that's more of a team and cards and account thing rather than Iron Man himself. But his new uniform has certainly taken me a lot better. Before, I was running with Electro, and even with the leadership for Electro, I wasn't getting as close to completing 7-1 as I was there. So that's progress. Unfortunately, I don't have too many friends who've got tier 3s that I could use as a striker to come in and do a lot of damage. So we're still going to have to do a little bit of work before we can get any further on dispatch. But that's something as new to play and free to play players you should be concentrating on, is building up your dispatch missions for the rewards and building up your cards, because once you've got those, that's when you can really start going into GBR Dormammu and having a chance at surviving to get rewards. That's going to be what really carries you through the game. You know, when you get to sector 8, 9, 10, you start getting the drops of CCF, TCP, you know, the tier 3 materials that you're going to need. But, like I said, no thank you. Much as I would like to do that content, I can't with this account, and I feel guilty. I feel bad. I don't want to go in and be a burden to other players. I know that my team isn't good enough to really go through and do damage. So you can see this is the characters I have at the moment. There's 5 teams that I have for Supergiant, and at this rate we can get through stage 9 quite relatively straightforward. We just need to get Red Hulk actually. I put Captain Marvel there to remind me. But you should see with this new uniform, whilst he was struggling with his Avengers 3099 uniform because it's not the best really, this one he should be able to whip straight through Supergiant. No problem, no time at all, especially with a CTP event. There we go. yeah, one rotation, one shot, done, easy, 8 seconds. So yeah, the fact is, this uniform is great. Getting this uniform for Iron Man, a character who everyone gets, and everyone gets relatively built up at the very beginning of the game, is great. The fact that you can now have a pretty busted character just because of how good he is with the uniform, let alone going past tier 3 to level 80 and getting his skills up, etc. Just having him as he is should be a real good boost for your account, whoever you are. You can see, Shield Academy, I know there is a tier 3 guided quest. I used it, like I say, I use it for Spider-Man for PvP, but I would recommend using it for Iron Man now, and it will certainly help your account. And don't lose hope, you know, it's a medium and long term goal for him to be tier 4, but he's very helpful for all free to play and new accounts. Anyway, that's going to be that for today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one.